Alright, so the Maverick's been torn into, and I'm going to show you what we've kind of gotten through with already on her. Alright, so we got the winch cable replaced with the synthetic, new hook, new solenoid, winch solenoid here, because the other one right here was all broke and destroyed and whatnot. So that's been changed out. We got the uni filter oiled up and installed. All the clips are installed. The air box is back in, bolted down. I already bled the brakes, got those bled. They're good to go. I did notice that his front axles have the outer cups. The boots are not hooked up. And this one is ripped also. And I've spoken to him, and I think he's going to end up having to replace these when they go out. So we'll see how or when he does that. I'm not going to be doing that as of right now. Got most of the snorkels hooked back up down there and up in here. Those hook up to where the gauges and switches go, or just the switches and whatnot. So that'll be all hooked up when it's done. This wire right here is for the rock lights that are positioned down here and on the opposite side. He's got them in and out. And then on this side, he's just got them on the outside, I believe. Yeah, right here. So those are all wired up now. And so I've got my negative. I just tied in here where this little bracket is. So for the 3-prong switch, and then we have power in and then power out to the lights hooked up. Clutching, I'm waiting to get the whatever tool for this to remove this. I think this is a turbo secondary. And then I have the puller for this, so we'll get that out. We got a new belt going on her. This has been changed out. This boot, it was all dry rotted and cracked. So that's all now swapped. What else we got? So I had said in here that, yeah, I'd have to remove the tank, and I did. So the tank's been removed, and I've removed the mechanical seal. It was a pain in my butt. Y'all know these are not very easy, and especially in a Maverick or a Commander, I could see this being a really, it is. I've just done it. So it was not as easy to get to as in on the four-wheelers, because there's really nowhere to get to the mechanical seal other than just right in here on this side. So then you got to come in through here. I mean, any way you can. It is a pain in the butt, guys, I will say. And it's like every Can-Am I've ever dealt with has had to have one of these done. I don't get it. Why do they leak? And it's the mechanical part. It's not the inner seal. It's the mechanical seal on this outer piece. Right under the impeller that goes out, and then it lets water or coolant, excuse me, come out of the weep hole down here, and that's why you get that. If there was water in the oil or coolant in the oil, that would be the inner seal. I will be picking that out and get it out, put the new seal in there, and then I'll replace everything with the new stuff. I usually get the quad boss set up, and it comes with a new seal for here, and a new crush washer for the drain plug. I have a new oil filter going in it. Now, I didn't pull this out, and I have never seen one have this, but so Clay was here helping me earlier, and this was kind of just sitting in here, this little freaking washer here. I don't know what the heck that's for. I've never seen one on any of my bikes that I've done the oil filters on. Maybe it was on the back side is all I can think of the original filter maybe, and it was stuck on the back side of that cap. If y'all know, let me know in the comments. That'd be cool. But yeah, so I'm kind of like, where does that go? You know, which isn't cool. And I'm not the one that took it off, so I'm still like, where'd it go? But anyway, so I guess it goes on the back side of there. I don't know why or what it does, but I mean, it's not like it pushes against anything once it's in. I mean, the whole cap is what keeps the filter inside of there, and this actually doesn't do anything, to my knowledge, other than if it would just sit in there. I mean, there's nothing in here to push against it like the Hondas or something. So anyway, we'll see how that goes, but whatever. I don't really think it needs it. And then we'll clean this up, put it back on. And yeah, so we've drained the front diff, transmission fluid, and the rear diff fluid. Those have all been changed. The motor has no oil in it at the moment. Once I'm finished up with the mechanical seal issues, I will then put some more oil in it. T6 all the way, Rotella. And then I will start reassembling everything. I got to get this piece back on where the key switches all, put this all back together, plumb up these, and then, you know, just keep putting on more plastics, put the glove box back in it. I am going to bring it out, drag it outside, and pressure wash everything, get it all cleaned up, looking good. And then, like I said, I'll put everything back together and reassemble. After it's done being reassembled, we will see what she's got and go test it out and see what we can do with it. Before we give it back to the customer, I got to make sure everything works right and make sure everything's 100%. This will be the last thing. Like I said, the clutches, this belt is like really wore out. It's a third, like it's got a quarter less size than thickness than the new Gates belt that I got. So I believe that's the OE belt. Yeah, so we'll get into that. And like I said, we'll come back with this whenever all this is kind of put back together, and we'll go test it out and make sure everything's working. All right, guys, so something I did whenever I was putting the mechanical seal back in that I want to discuss with you. So I've put the oil seal in, then I started putting the mechanical seal in, which is behind the impeller here. Most of us use the socket method. So you get a 1-inch socket, all right, and that'll go over and push the outer part in. You start tapping that in, okay? Well, as you're doing that, you also then need to flip it over and put it over the shaft. And you need to tap the part that's right around the shaft inward, okay? And you just keep going back and forth doing that until you're all the way in, okay? On the outer part. And then you can either take a washer and an 8mm nut and screw it onto here and tighten it down slightly, and it should line it right up with where it needs to be. Well, and if you don't do the nut part, and you use the socket, you can end up pushing it too far to where you don't have any forward or back movement like you're supposed to here. See? It's moving. That's why it's called a mechanical seal, okay? Because it does move. Make sure that's tight. Anyway, so, and then you can use like one of those tools with two things for like clips to tighten or take this off if you can't do it by hand. But yeah, so, but if you were to go too far to where it doesn't have any movement and the center of the mechanical seal is too far that way, what you can do is take a rubber mallet or a plastic hammer, and you can hit that shaft back through it slightly and then readjust. But make sure it lines up with the flat part of it after the threads. If you don't do that, it's not going to work properly and you're going to have issues, and then you're going to end up redoing what you've already done. I do not like doing things more than once if it can be prevented, for sure. So just do it right the first time, okay, guys? Also, earlier I mentioned I had found this little doohickey, and it was on the back of the filter, or in here, right? And I called Clay. I'm like, Clay, where did you get this? Where did this come from? He's like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Well, I had to look it up. That's a crush washer for the drain plug, I do believe. I'm about to remove the drain plug again. Thank God we didn't fill anything with oil, because, you know, I got to figure out where this thing goes. That's why I like taking things apart by myself. I know where everything goes then, and I don't have to question anything, and I don't have to figure things out like that. Also, this is your best friend. Anti-seize, okay? Get a big bottle of this stuff because you use it on everything. All right, so when you go back into any bolts, I put anti-seize on them to where it'll easily come back out if I need it to. So we're about to throw the oil filter back in, put the I've got the new seal on the water pump here. Oh, this is new. I lubed it up with a little dielectric grease, and I will reinsert that, and then I'll put the hose back on. Then we'll bleed everything, get the coolant right, get the oil right, and then we should be good to go. So I'll come back when we got that done. So guys, we got the Maverick cleaned up. Used my little foam spray cannon, got it all clean, scrubbed her up. So she's as clean as she's gonna get right now. And I tore into the clutching. So the clutches, I don't like on these Mavericks, guys. I don't know why they do this, but you see this? This goes on here, on this shaft, okay? And then you have this Allen. Well, when I tried to remove this, it's stripped, of course, right? Because see how rusty it is? Even though I had it coated in PB forever. But anyway, so normally this would be out of here. You tighten this down onto this shaft, and then you put this back in, which then pushes these threads together really hard. And then once that's in and tight, you should be able to then remove it and the whole shaft come out. Well, that didn't happen for me. So I was able to get the belt off without having to remove the entire front primary or having the clutch puller, or the, puller for the belt here for the secondary. This is a turboed secondary. I don't know why it's on here. He did mention he had swapped that out. I don't know why, but I don't know what difference it does on these machines, but whatever. That's how that is. See how it's all corroded? Yeah, that's what happens when you leave water sitting in your unit. So I will clean these sheaves up while this is still in the machine and get it ready for the new belt. I've sanded this down as much as I can. I'll probably hit it with the wire wheel real quick too, and then I'll hit it with the Scotch-Brite and put cross hatching on it to get that done. So though this is off, okay, hang on. This piece here, it's not a one-way. It's not a one-way bearing. There's not. So normally when you would go one way, it would spin, and then if you tried twisting the other way, it would push outward, okay, like that, on like an Outlander or Renegade. Well, this one doesn't have that. This one has just the two bearings in there, and that doesn't have the little slits that the button and springs that go in here for the Outlanders has, which, you know, engages the engine braking. So the back bearing here was bad. It wouldn't even turn. So I've replaced the bearing in here with a new one. So I can put that back on there. Boom. Here's the bad bearing. And this is the original bearing. So you know it's original when on the back side of it, you can see through it. On the front side, it's got the seal. That's kind of stupid because you're going to get a bunch of crap in there, and then it ends up doing this. I can't even move it. It's seized. So that was definitely bad. That was replaced, like I said. So now we got this, and all I got to do is, like I said, cross hatch for the new belt. And I've got the outer half out of the machine, and one thing I don't get either is why would this rust? And then here's the outer half. This outer half is nice and shiny. I don't know why. I guess it's made of different material. I don't know. But this, always mark your parts right here, here, and here. And then before you separate it so you don't screw up. But the buttons are good. Everything's kind of clean. There's nothing in there. Everything moves as it should. All the weights fling out like they're supposed to. So this piece here looks good. We're going to clean it up, drop it back in the machine after it's cross-hatched, and we have a brand new Gates belt to put on it. I use Gates belts. I know I bitched about the carbon belts, but that's what I had ordered, and it was before I had seen my Polaris belt. So here it is. It's the C, not the G, which is not good, right? But I could keep this one for my stock and give him a Gates G-Force, but since I've been having issues in my machines with the G-Forces, I'm just going to keep my G-Force, and he can get the C-Force for crap, right? But anyway, it should work out fine. This machine has literally 300 miles on it, okay, guys? 300 miles. That is insane. It's a 2017. It has 380 miles. Excuse me. So, 380... and it looked like it did. Y'all have seen it. So this thing has been nothing but mud ridden, it looks like. Okay. I also went around and greased all the Zerk fittings. I've got the LEDs wired up to here, which is cool. He did have a spot for it already cut out, which is nice. I do have one other little issue here that I found after pressure washing it. He used red RTV to plug a hole in this cooling line, and I didn't see that until after I put the new coolant in after doing the mechanical seal. So I really don't want to have to change this out. He didn't, and dump all the coolant again, because it's all going to come out. So what I'm going to do is, he used that red RTV. I'm going to use either red high temp, or I'll use ultra black, and I'll coat the shenanigans out of it. If it were up to me, like to fix a hose like that, I would use like heat shrink or something, cut that off, put some RTV or heat shrink or high temp RTV, then slide a heat shrink over that, heat it up, and let it clamp down. And then on the edges of the heat shrink, I'd probably go around with some RTV also. That would then prevent it from leaking, guys. I know for sure. But I'm not taking that off to be able to throw it in there like that. So, but we're going to take all the parts and we're going to go clean them. And then we're going to start putting her back together. And then we'll come back. And we're back. After I cleaned all the plastics, guys, I just couldn't help myself. I just went ahead and threw it all together. So Project Maverick 1000 is done. Oh, it's Maverick XMR, excuse me. So yeah, guys, threw it all back together. That hose that was under here with the silicone on it, I took it all off, and I actually put a what is this stuff? So I found this just laying around. I use a lot of things I have on hand. So I used one of these, which is like a tire repair patch. It was a little smaller. So I cleaned it up, scuffed it up with the tool that comes with this, and I used the rubber cement, and I glued it on to the hose. Oops. And then after that was dry, I went ahead and coated it in some right here, RTV, red high temp gasket maker. So I covered it like a lot, all the way around the whole thing. It does not leak. I've tested it, and it's good. It's holding. That patch is really going to help. So that's how I fixed that issue. What else? I was able, the clutching. So the clutches, y'all saw I had the outer half off. Well, when I put my puller on the inner, I got that shaft, or the rod that stud or nut goes on to hold it all together. I was able to get that off by putting a nut, excuse me, on that, and then putting the big nut part that goes on there. I was able to do that, sandwich them together, and I was able to remove the shaft. So then I was able to put my puller in there. I was able to pull the whole clutch off, which was nice because I could not get the belt on it without that belt tool, without taking that primary off. If I'd have had the belt tool, I wouldn't have to take the whole thing off. So I took that off, cleaned it all up. That one-way bearing, I don't know if I said it earlier, but I had to replace the bearing in that. So that's good. So the new Gates carbon belt's on it. So I've already gone and broken in the belt. And then while I was breaking the belt in, the miles per hour stopped showing. And then it showed a check engine light and went into limp mode and said limp home. So I just got through taking all that back off, and I took the speed sensor out of the transmission, and it had a bunch of gunk all over it. So I cleaned that up, and I'm hoping it's gonna fix it for good, because it was, like I said, working periodically, but it stopped working when I came back from the test drive. But yeah, all I gotta do is throw this seat back in and take her for a little ride down the road. So let's go do that now. All right, guys, so I got it out here on the road, and we're about to hop in and go for a little ride. So here we go. See how she do. Hopefully nothing happens. All right. There we go. All right, we're in high. If y'all hear any popping, it's coming from these axles. It's got a broken front right axle, and those rears, especially in reverse, be popping a lot. There'll be all kind of mud flinging. These tires, woo, these tires fling mud, boy. There we go. About to get some mud in the eye. Like I said, I did already break the belt in, so I can actually get on it a little bit, making sure that the speedometer's working. I cleaned that sensor. It seems to be working all right. Man, this thing definitely could use a windshield. Definitely could use a windshield. Check engine on, so that's nice. Motor ain't even warmed up yet. I need to kind of take it easy on it so it warms up. But anyway, yeah. So if he'll just change the axles out for that ride, that's what that noise is. This thing will be